I want to talk to you today about the Supreme Court of the United States. The Supreme Court of the United States and the 4th Judicial District and the 4th Judicial Appellate Courts of the United States. I want to talk to you about one of my more favorite subjects, and that is Dam 230, Dam A, at Ticonderoga, New York. Also known as the pinhole in the bathtub on Lake George. In 1974, New York State was given a free $150,000 and free 7 acres of land and free the dam at Lachute River, also known as the Poop Chute River. The International Paper and Power Company gave for free the pinhole in the bathtub to the state of New York after a decade and a half, a century and a half of repeated lawsuits and repeated criminal prosecutions and millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of damage to islands, shoreline, boathouses, and docks all over Lake George. But, you know, the state of New York was given a free dam and free $150,000 to fix the dam. You can't make this stuff up, folks. $150,000 for free with the free dam to fix the piece of crap dam. In other words, they upgraded the pinhole. They made the pinhole bigger. Now, several years after the pinhole was made bigger, the United States Army Corps of Engineers and the Stetson Engineering Company inspected and reviewed and analyzed the pinhole in the bathtub. The reality of the pinhole in the bathtub at Ticonderoga, New York, is that it is 46% adequate to handle flood water. Probable flood moments. In other words, Dam A, dam number 230, after it was upgraded and after it was improved, remained less than 1/2 capable of handling floodwaters in the Lake George water basin. So, I guess to get down to the scientific evidence, before 1974, before the free $150,000 to fix the free dam, it was in much worse, even more inadequate, even less condition to handle floodwater. It was a worse situation before the $150,000 upgrading of the pinhole. Let's see, the pinhole in the bathtub at Lake George. Now, to David Wick, the director of the Lake George Park Commission, and to Roger Smith and to FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency of the United States government, that oversees critical infrastructure like dams. Dam A, number 230, has been rated and identified by the United States Army Corps of Engineers as being a high-risk dam. The Free Dam has been identified by Stetson Engineering and by the Army Corps of Engineers and by FEMA as being an unsafe, high-risk dam that's less than half capable of doing its job. Now, before 1974, there was a century and a half, about 150 years of massive property damage all over Lake George, New York. Now, the Fourth Circuit Courts of the United States, the district courts and the appellate courts of the Fourth Circuit, and the United States Supreme Court needs to understand that I've got hundreds of photographs, thousands of pages of court testimony and investigation reports, and millions of witnesses, that they use the pinhole in the bathtub as a giant toilet flusher. In other words, when the International Paper and Power Corporation dumped over 1.5 million cubic yards of industrial wastes, they didn't dump it behind the dam. Oh no. They dumped it downstream of the dam, so every time the dam's flushed, it would move this toxic waste material and all the sewage. Huge, vast amounts of sewage from the village of Ticonderoga, New York, out in front of Fort Ticonderoga, Mount Independence, and Mount Defiance. It's on the bottom of the lake. And the records about this are in the possession of the EPA, the United States Army Corps of Engineers, the United States Geological Service, the New York State Environmental Conservation, excuse me, the Vermont Conservation Department, and a whole bunch of other news media, from the New York Times to the Glens Falls Post-Star, the Adirondack Almanac, and the Lake George Mirror. Imagine that. In other words, this story is irrefutably true, and my factual assessment of the pinhole in the bathtub being way too small, Dam 230, Dam A, at Old Weedville, on the north end of Lake George, is absolutely accurate. Now, what's this all mean? Well, year after year, after year after year of the flushing, the erratic winter ice sheet, the erratic up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down of the lake, caused massive property damages all over Lake George. Ask Ellen Apperson Brown. Ask Brian Mann of the North Country Public Radio. Ask any number of people you want to at the Post-Star, the Albany Times-Union, the Troy Record, the New York Times, the Burlington Free Press. Ask anybody you want to about the massive property damages all over Lake George, including the Witham family, whose marina was destroyed year and again, year and again, from the wintertime drawdowns. They draw the lake level way down so they can make a bunch of electricity. They dump the water level during the fall and the dry season so they can generate electricity for the paper mill, and then the lake freezes. And then in the springtime, when the dam can't release the water adequately, the ice comes slamming back up. The ice sheet comes slamming back up. And it literally tears up all the islands. It tears up the boathouses. And it tears up large amounts of docks, like the Witham Family Marina on Lake George. So to the governor of the state, Andy Cuomo, to the director of the Department of Environmental Conservation, and to the Lake George Park Commission and FEMA, we need to understand exactly just how small, too small, way too small, the pinhole in the bathtub was before it was given for free, with the free $150,000 to fix it. Why would International Paper and Power give to New York State free $150,000 to fix something if there was nothing wrong with it? Wow, there's a question for you. What was the free $150,000 for? To remodel and rebuild and upgrade the dam because it was really way too small. It was a little teeny tiny. It was even worse. The pinhole in the bathtub was even smaller. Oh, Lord. Think about that, David Wick. How about that, Roger Smith? Lake George's pinhole and the poisoning of Lake Champlain. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the reading, enjoy all the history, especially enjoy all the photographs. And as always, God bless, hasta la vista, and you betcha, we are coming back.